Welcome to Goblin Hobbies. My name is Brent. Today we're going to use our stamps and an airbrush to get a cool effect on these Ork Deffkoptas from Warhammer 40k. We're going to use black and white to make an undercoat with a lot of contrast and visual interest. Then we're going to use some translucent inks to tint everything a fun color. Okay, let's do it. I assembled the models, but I left the rotor blades unglued in case I needed to move them a bit as we're painting. The flight stands are sculpted, but they don't cover the whole base, so I finished things off with some texture paste and a few extra orky bits. Time to prime. I'm starting with black. The black is going to give some nice contrast on the final model. For one of the three Koptas, I undercoated with pink instead. Pink base coats can make the color yellow look fantastic. You may have seen this trick before. If you haven't, well, you're in for a treat. Okay, once things are primed, it's time to stamp. I chose a few Stampin' plates. Feral 1 and Feral 2 have some great orky designs. Heraldry 1 has a nice block of checkers, and Industrial 1 has stripes, chevrons, diamond plating, and beyond. I'm using bright white Stampin' color. I've got the cube stamper for bigger patterns, and a double-ended stamper for medium and small size designs. To stamp, we dab on some Stampin' color, and then we get ready to work quickly. Scrape away the excess with one smooth motion. Drop the scraper, grab the stamper, and use a gentle touch between the silicone and the steel to pick up the design. Aim through the back of the stamper, line it up, and give a firm press onto the target. Hold for a second, then lift up the stamper, and there you go. I decided to make each set of rotors vaguely symmetrical, but for the rest of the model, I'm gonna go nuts. I'm putting checkers and skulls all over. The ultimate goal is to make the main color for each of these vehicles look amazing. I'm putting stamps on areas that'll be part of the primary hull color. There's no need to stamp the skin or the leather or any of the secondary colors. The high contrast of these bright white stamps can feel scary, but don't worry. The next couple of steps will blend things together. I've got some nice clean stamps on here, and I've got some messy stamps. Some look cool and some look kinda dumb, and it's okay. It's all part of the process. The individual stamps don't matter much, but combined, all of these patterns and shapes will create a backstory. All of this random detail is gonna feel natural. Underpainting like this will give depth and history to the hulls of these flyers. Okay, these are looking pretty good. We've got a nice density and distribution of stamps on here. The final step in the undercoat is to load up the airbrush with white. You can use white paint or primer, but I like to use this acrylic ink because I find that it's easier to make smooth transitions without too many speckles. The goal is to add some dramatic transitions and hotspots. In the next step, we're going to add color over this. Over white, the color will be bright and vibrant. Over black, the color will be darker and more subdued. We want both of these, and we want everything in between. I'm not trying to do an all-over zenithal. I'm deliberately keeping some areas dark and choosing other spots to brighten up. I'm picking the bright spots pretty much at random. I'm not worried about where shadows would actually fall. I'm not worried about the physics of light right now. None of this requires artistic talent. My biggest consideration is just to get a nice mix of light and dark areas across the model. The stamps that we did count as bright spots. In some cases, I'll do a gentle blend towards a stamped pattern, but in other cases, I'll use the airbrush to create a new bright spot somewhere that I didn't hit with a stamp. As always, there are more right ways to do this than there are wrong ways to do it. We're noodling around, adding bright spots at random, and I assure you, it's gonna look cool. This ink goes on super thin, so I ended up doing 2 or 3 coats so that we have some real splotches of white in addition to the grays. And here we are. Between the stamps and the airbrushing, we have a nice mix of light and dark, or in one case, white and pink. This will make sense soon. Alright, the undercoat is done. I've chosen 3 different colors for these copters. I'm using artist acrylic ink. These particular colors are all marked as transparent, which actually means that they're translucent. These will tint the undercoat rather than covering it all up. Off camera, I practiced on a few spare terrain bits to get the feel of a few different options and see how translucent each of these colors really were. If you don't have inks, you can also experiment with colored washes or speed paint or something like that. Okay, here we go. The goal is a smooth, even coat all over everything. The undercoat is going to do most of the work, we're just trying to add a layer of tint. Be patient and build up slow. If we go too fast, we might get droplets or pools of liquid forming on the model, and that won't look quite as good. Also, the more I spray, the more opaque the color will get. By going slow, it's easier to dial in to the right amount of tinting. Keep in mind that each color pigment is different. This orange is relatively clear, and the features of the undercoat are easy to see. The blue pigment is much stronger, and it's easy to accidentally add too much and obscure the undercoat. And I kinda did. Oh well, it still looks pretty cool. Now the yellow. Yellow is often quite transparent, and a black undercoat can make yellow look muddy and dull and sad. Luckily, there's this neat trick of using pink primer instead of black. The pink adds brightness and a warm hue. Layering yellow over this pink makes a brownish orange, which looks great alongside the more pure yellow. The color transitions here aren't just between light and dark, but they also have a little movement on the color wheel. All in all, it's a neat way to paint yellow. Here we are after a few thin layers. Oh yeah, this is gonna be good. Those colors are vibrant, and all of that variation under the surface gives a ton of visual interest. All of the detail from the stamps make the paint job seem more intentional and skillful than it really was. This looks awesome. These inks are thin and glossy though, so we'll do a coat of matte varnish to lock everything in. This will protect those thin layers underneath and knock down the sheen. Okay, after all of that work, we've succeeded in making one color on these models look pretty cool, and it's time to start painting all of the other colors. The matte varnish is a good surface to paint on. After all that excitement with the airbrush, it's time to do some straightforward base coating. The plan is to block in some green orc skin, some red for ordnance and hoses, and some dark gray for a bunch of the secondary metal bits. For Warhammer minis, if you can get one of the main colors to look awesome, then the whole model is probably gonna look great. So for the other colors, I'm trying to make choices that don't clash, and I'm trying to be neat and tidy, and that's about it. My mind is more analytical than it is artistic, and that's one reason why I really like this method. Painting the undercoat took a lot of time, but it wasn't difficult, and it didn't require much artistic talent. It's one of those techniques where you can just follow a plan, trust the process, and end up with a result that seems like you know what you're doing. And yeah, after just base coating a couple of secondary colors, these models are really coming along. I'm gonna keep going and paint the rest of the owl here, but there's no need for anything fancy. The hull colors look fantastic, and everything else is just adding some context. Okay, glamour shots. Not too bad. Variations of these undercoating techniques are popular in miniature painting, and there's a good reason for that. Relatively simple step-by-step recipes can produce awesome results. Plus, it's just plain fun. We've got colors and contrast and checkerboards. This was straightforward, and the models look great. Please follow Goblin Hobbies for more painting and stamping. Check out www.goblinhobbies.com. Alrighty, that's it for this time. Thanks so much for watching.